consume it, you get compaction. So we have a product I developed called Retain, and Retain is a 100% organic pellet that absorbs moisture and nutrients in the soil for 3 years. I needed that tool. Everybody else needed it too, but I really need it because I'm managing in all different terrain. I'm managing in red clay, gray clay. I'm gumbo. I mean, we're planting in straight sand in Michigan, straight sand in Texas, Florida. And so what we tried to do is come up with a product that would work. And the first couple years we got a product that would absorb moisture, but it would fall apart. And I didn't want it to be a plastic. I didn't want it to be a contaminant in the ground. And so it took us a little bit longer to get to the point where we had a product that would last 3 years, that wouldn't fall apart, that would do what we wanted it to. And then it took me an additional 2 years because I wanted to pull nutrients. So we're pulling micronutrients, NPK, right off the beginning. When we start sucking in moisture, we're also pulling in nutrients. And it's very important because when you hit the drought period of the year, that's actually ideal growing. The highest air temperature and the highest soil temperature will encourage major growth, like when we were teenagers and we couldn't get enough calories in our mouth. Well, the plant gets hungry too, and when it starts to grow like that, it needs moisture and oxygen, and we give it. But when it starts to grow like that, it needs food. And the last thing you want to do on your annuals is go drive a UTV, a tractor, or anything to try to fertilize and feed it. Nor even when you and I would do this with a bag and be willing to do it, we still are going to do damage to bulbs and stems. So what it does a big grab on the front end and it holds that. Now when we hit the drought, it starts to give the moisture back. Now as it was swelling, absorbing that, it's moving the soil. As soon as it starts to give it back and shrinks, it creates a gap, and that gap allows an even greater influx of oxygen flow to the roots, which also can help to cool the ground, because you can also superheat your roots in the high temp. So when you talked about what to plant for spring, summer, we plant our Climatize, which is a combination of a climbing vining forage soybean, a forage pea, buckwheat, and our radishes. And it can get 3 to 4 foot tall, creates a really good ground cover, keeps the sun off the dirt. In addition to that, most of the time in the spring, we put in some clover or clover chicory blend with it. And the reason we do that is because then we've got a fortified, even though we're not going to keep the perennial long term, but it gives us a short term perennial for that whole season. It gives us high protein, very easily digested. Peas, beans, and buckwheat are full of proteins. And then the radishes help to create some tonnage. They help to keep the ground open, and they provide a food source they will eat during spring and summer. And then you refortify it with now a next level of new, fresh green growth going into fall. And what we would use is either our crop duster, our deep woods, or our carnage brassicas, depending on the amount of room that's available in the food source. And to your point, when you were talking about taking that seed variety you wanted to plant in here and then mowing it down and putting a fall, this would allow you to do a similar thing, excuse me, but you would still have the benefit of the radishes. You would add a combination of a cereal grains followed by a protein source, a new fresh green protein source for early season, and it fortify the brassicas along with cereal grains. Cereal grains are very, very important for fall because they stimulate the digestive system within your whitetail, and they allow it to stay, because their systems are going to start to slow down, and as they do, there's kind of an imaginary line, if you will, in their body that if they drop below that, they're already going to take 4 to 6 weeks to get a restart to the fully inefficient system they have to begin with, to get to that, back to that level. And if they drop below that line, for every, I guess week, if you will, they drop below that line, it adds weeks to their recovery, and that can be detrimental to fawns. The does will abort their fawn, or they'll abort both of their fawns, and it just takes a lot longer for their body to recover, and you'll see that in your does and in your bucks big time. Especially when we start getting freezing rain, which is horrible. It locked out all of the things. It took a lot of the buds that were developing on the trees and froze them. Some cases broke them off. And we lost some of that available food. And the deer browse line is from 7 foot down to the ground. So anyway, all of those type of things come into play. And cereal grains definitely mimic the natural browse that are available from now until kind of mid to late fall, when it gets either eaten, squirreled away in a hole, or put in the ground. So that's what we're just trying. I never try to replace Mother Nature, because she is the most important thing for an efficient digestive. The problem is she only produces 7 to 10% protein, on any given healthy woods, and most of our woods don't even contain that. And deer need 18 to 22% protein every day to hit their full genetic potential. We focus a lot on minerals. Usually they contain a lot of salt to cover up the vitamins and minerals. You and I never liked our vitamins. We hated Flintstone vitamins. Those were nasty. I don't care what shape they're in or what berry flavor they were. They were still gross. Deer don't like to eat it either, so we mask it with salt. And salt is really detrimental to the bacteria in their stomach, and it can kill the bacteria in their stomach. And they're always have some form of an inundation where their bacteria is inundated with negative bacteria and things that are killing off the bacteria. And once the natural browser are gone, they don't have the ability to recover from that. So July 15th, when people do mineral, I always encourage them, if you just really believe that somehow mineral is the save-all, do-all, please stop July 15th. They're like, well, I got to get my pictures of my deer in August. I said, look, here's the deal. The deer are not benefiting from it anymore at that point. They are already on to what they're going to be and what they're going to do. And I know you're trying to get pictures. I get it. But you already got a bunch of pictures. You already know the deer that are there. You know, spend a little time in the blind.
Funny, I told Rick that. I said I get a lot of pictures,
and so that's all fine and good. But, you know, I said you've created a habit in your deer. I said if you put a large McDonald's on sweet iced tea and a 2-pound bag of peanut M&Ms on a stump, I'll be on your camera. Okay, that's my vice. Salt is the vice of the deer. And so they're coming to it, but it's not good for them any more than me. Consuming 2 pounds of peanut M&Ms a day is good for me. But if you put them in front of me, I probably will. So, but just the reality of that. So creating the screening, creating that sense of security, to be able to cross between cover back and forth, to go through social areas during this daylight hours, and then being able to feel secure from predators, because they will start to recognize that. Having a very highly digestible, consumable from the very end to all the way to the ground. Killer food plots can be eaten to the dirt. There's not a lot of waste in a killer food plot. So when we grow brassicas, the stem or the stalk and the stems of the brassicas, they're not like an undercooked piece of asparagus where they're like a stick, right? They're made to be like a well-steamed piece of broccoli where they're still fibrous, but they're 100% digestible, because you want them to get the vitamins, you want them to get the minerals and the nutrients. And literally, this can be your food plot right here, and they're still going to be over here pawing away, and they're not even going to be paying attention to that food plot next door because of the digestibility and availability. And that's what I really focused on for several years in my high fence. Initially, for the first year and a half, I was shoving $20 bills, $18 coming out the backside.
Oh, really?
Oh, it was bad. And I said, I don't understand. Well, their system is so different and so inefficient. And they only take about 50% the time that a cow takes to try to break their food down. That's all they spend trying to break it down. So a lot of what goes in one end ends up wasted. So what we had to do is we wanted thin, available, digestible food sources going into their mouth, so that in that period of time. The other thing we do, and we're across the border here into Ohio, so you can feed. We have a core pellet. It's called Core Infusion that we feed all year long in the states where we can. Michigan just banned baiting, so we can't do it there. Which is, you know, I'm okay with that, but it kind of stinks in a way. But but the benefit to the animals, we're providing supplemental vitamin package. We're giving all that protein in a very available, digestible form. We're supplementing the chelated minerals that they need in a way that they'll consume it and eat it, but it's a little bit every day. That's all they need. They don't need buckets of Lucky Pail of stuff. They actually need the stuff that's going to work and metabolize into their body. We also have 2 natural bacteria packs inside of that. One is made to feed the ruminant, so that it makes the bacteria in the stomach multiply 4 to 5 times what they would naturally be able to create, which means that in that 50% less time, there's a whole bunch more of an army trying to break down what they're consuming, so there's into a form they can use it. And then the other natural bacteria pack is made to essentially attach itself like liquid carbon in our body to toxins and get it out. It does the same thing to negative bacteria and other toxins in their system, and it pulls it out more efficiently without giving them the diarrhea or Hershey squirts and making them dehydrate. And so we do that in a kind of a natural probiotic way, and we get that out of the body. And then the other thing it does is post-ruminant is it opens the capillaries. So we get maximum absorption from the things they broke down. Now all of a sudden I'm putting $20 and $2 is coming out. You know, we can reverse that, but it took me a while to figure it out. I had to work with my biologist, my veterinarian, and me. I don't ever. Well, that's good enough. No, it's never good enough. My guys call it nickifying everything, but I'm not satisfied until I really feel like I got as far as I can go, and then I'll put it on the shelf and I'll pick it up later. But because people work so hard for their money and their time is so valuable, I won't put a product, like I could have a mineral product right now, I won't do it because in my opinion, it's not the best way to use your money. And there's plenty of people who are beating my door going, when are we, you got all these great products, when are you gonna have mineral? I'm not going to. You're gonna use core, or you're not gonna do it. You're gonna do it with somebody else, because I'm not gonna do that, because the only way I can deliver that product in an effective way is to bathe it in salt. And I don't want to bathe the deer in salt. So